The most famous teaching in the Bhagavad Gita starts with Krishna's words. But nobody talks about what happened right before Krishna spoke. Arjuna dropped his bow. Not because he was weak. Because he finally got honest. Two armies facing each other on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Millions of soldiers ready to fight. Arjuna rides to the front. He looks across at the other side. And he sees his teachers. His relatives. His friends. He lowers his bow. He says, I cannot fight. Everyone assumes Arjuna is being weak. Cowardly. He's the greatest archer alive. He's been training for this his whole life. But here's what nobody teaches. Arjuna didn't say I don't want to fight. He said I don't want to win. Because he understood something nobody else did. If he won, he would have to live with what he did. Kill his family. Destroy his teachers. Erase his own past. The victory would be his own worst enemy. Arjuna wasn't having a weakness breakdown. He was having a clarity breakdown. He saw past the reward to the cost. He saw past the glory to the guilt. He saw past the win to what comes after. That's not weakness. That's the most honest moment in the entire Gita. Krishna doesn't tell him to fight. Krishna asks him a question first. He says, you are grieving for those who should not be grieved for. Wise people don't grieve for the living or the dead. Then he spends the next 700 verses explaining why. Not to manipulate him. Not to convince him. To show him what he was actually looking at. Krishna spends the entire Gita teaching Arjuna one thing. Your identity is not your actions. Your actions are not your worth. Your worth is not determined by outcomes. When you act from attachment to results, you become a slave to those results. When you act from clarity about who you are, you become untouchable. This is why Arjuna's breakdown is the most important moment in the Gita. Because he was willing to look like a coward to avoid becoming something he didn't want to be. Most people read the Gita and think, Krishna told Arjuna to fight. So I should push through. But that's the wrong lesson. The real lesson is, Arjuna was strong enough to stop. And Krishna was wise enough to explain why he should start again. Being able to pause, to question, to say I see the goal but I need to understand the cost, that's not weakness. That's the beginning of actual strength. Arjuna picked up his bow again. Not because he was convinced. Because he understood. That's the difference between obedience and wisdom. Obedience, do it because I told you. Wisdom, do it because you see clearly. The Gita was never about following orders. It was about learning to see so clearly that you act from truth, not from pressure.